o'clock. So we don't want to waste your time. We want you to get all the information that you came to receive. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with this meeting. This is a subcommittee to the board, the SPOA board, just so you understand. This is not, we don't vote, we don't make any decisions here. We're just trying to come up with solutions, recommendations that go to the board, and then the board actually makes decisions, okay? Just so everybody understands. Do we have any people from outside the fence? Hey, thanks for coming. Okay, thank you. Oh, there's Sam. Okay, so you're just kicking it off. So anyway, thanks for coming. And I want to give you a little administrative background. So when we have a meeting, we will prepare the minutes from this meeting. They go to the SPOA board meeting where they are reviewed and approved, and then they'll be posted on the SPOA site. So if you don't see minutes immediately after this meeting, that's because they're going to be in the SPOA minute meetings of the next meeting, which is now going to be the 11th of August is the next board meeting for SPOA. Okay? Just a little administrative. If you haven't signed in, hopefully there's still some space on the back. You can sign in. Appreciate that. And without any further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. The minutes last time, what we talked about were some of the options, and obviously Mark Coons is here from the golf course, and he was the one that was talking mostly about what the game plan is. I think everybody is here because of their interest in what's happening with the golf course. If that's not why you're here, you may be in the wrong meeting, so you're welcome to go. But that's exactly what we talked about last time. And we're going to further that discussion. Whoa, 2 fists of drink.
I did no money.
We're gonna talk about that some more tonight. So, does anybody have any questions before we get started, administratively or not? Nobody? Okay, great. All right. So, we went through everything we talked about, the different options. Can you scroll that down just a little bit? Sam, if you want to jump in, Sam. Go ahead.
I'm going to try and let you all do this.
Okay, last time, for those who weren't here last time, we came up with some options that the golf course had. And that was to sell to an individual or a company, lease the golf course was an option. They were looking at sell for development, sell part of it to SPOA. There was discussion about SPOA buying the clubhouse and the parking lot. And then the other option was, could SPOA actually work a deal and buy the course? And then the homeowners in here would actually own the golf course. It would be an amenity of the association. There's pros and cons on that. There's dues would change, all those kinds of things. And so that was on the table. The interesting thing is that from my understanding, and Mark will straighten me out if I'm wrong, there's an issue about finance and ability to maintain the golf course moving forward, and so time is of the essence. So if that's the case, then the SPOA deal would take a long time to make that happen. And it may not be in enough time to keep the golf course open and running. Is that a fair statement, Mark?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then another option, and Tracy's been working that, is can the county buy it? They've been buying a lot of property. They bought the property down there by the bridge in Shalimar. Could they buy it? The answer is they probably could afford to buy it, but getting that done takes time too. And so that was one of the considerations. So those were the things that we looked and talked about last time. And then move on down. Let's go into some of the latest developments. That's good. And I'll let Mark jump in. You want to jump in now and just give him an update on where you're at with the golf course?
Sure, thank you. So welcome everybody. Some of you are golf course members, some of you are PSP members. Thank you for your concern here and where we are, how we got here. First of all, I think we can all fairly safely say that we all want to keep the golf course. That's paramount to us, okay? So the question becomes, you know, I can pull 100 people in the answer. Everybody want to save the golf course? Yes. Everybody's 100% there. Now, how do you do that? Okay, the bottom line is it takes a lot of money to run this golf course. And our expenses are exceeding our revenues. We've been continuing to lose money. We've owned this property for 14 years. We made money 1 year out of 14, and that was during COVID when everybody was out here playing golf. So we're getting to the point where we've had discussions. We've received a couple offers, to be honest with you. One of them is from an individual in the community here. That's good news. I think it was a fairly decent offer. It was fair. It would allow us to pay off our debt. It leaves nothing for the equity for the PSP members who put money in 14 years ago. So we've got about $2.15 million of equity that people have put into this club who may not get anything back. Okay, that's a bitter pill to swallow for a lot of people. But in order for us to ensure the longevity of the course, we think we might have a path. Now we've got to work out some clauses and some stipulations here. But we think we're going to be able to keep the golf course open as a golf course. So I'm not going to divulge the name of that person. We've gotten a few offers, I can tell you that. We're looking at one very seriously. And so we're going down that path. We'll probably know something within the next couple of weeks. So I think we're going to be okay here through the end of this month. So whatever we do come up with here, I think we'll have to get something done within, say, 3 to 4 weeks. But I think we have a path if we can work through some clauses here. We've talked about some, perhaps some profit sharing down the road, but we'll leave that for another day. But I think everybody in the room here wants to keep this as it is. And if somebody can inject some more capital, make some improvements here, we've had substantive discussions with these people about how they would like to change things and improve it. So more to follow, but hopefully something will happen here within the next 3 or 4 weeks. But we think we have a path here to remain open. So that's all I'll say about that for now. Any questions?
And I think that's going to help. And obviously, if with a new owner coming in, there will be a transition period. There will be some due diligence period, the contract period, and all that stuff. So that will take a little bit of time. So we'll see how that goes. So it may be a month or two before it's all totally switched and moving forward. So again, probably not at this meeting. We don't have enough details to share, but it is a good step in the right direction. It solves a problem for SPOA. It solves a problem for people building in your backyard. It solves a problem for a nice community. And we just recently had our nephew come and visit, and he came out and played, and he said, I really like that course. It was really nice, and it's a tough little course. So it's a good course worth saving, I think.
Shuffle music from your app.
Anyway.
That's for you.
That's my phone? Sure. Anyway, so I think that's all good news, and I think we want to see this working. And the only way this works is if the community comes together. One of the things that got me on the board was I was really aggravated with hearing us and them, and everybody's wanting to fight the golf course people, the SPOA people, and all this. And a couple of us, I know Sam probably feels the same way. We're like, no, this is a community. We need to all wrap around, get behind, and we need to all work together to save it. And so we want to do the best that we can. And I even heard a statement last meeting that said nobody on Choctaw cares about this golf course. I don't think that's true at all. I think there's several people from Choctaw here tonight, and if they didn't care, they'd be home having a beer, not here. So I think they do care, and they want this community to stay as it is, and if there's improvements that we can do along the way, there's been talk about maybe getting pickleball, getting some other amenities that come along with this and make this a really desirable country club kind of atmosphere. So that's kind of what the vision is and what we could do moving forward. So Sam, do you have any?
I don't know what I want to say.
Pete said, when we ran for the board a couple of years ago, we ran for the board with the intention that we represented the community. That community is not the golf course and it's not the non-golf course people. We respect the fact that the golf course is an asset to this community. And we have made it very important to try to make the golf, when we took over, it was very clear that people felt like it had gone from members of the golf course to non-members of the golf course running these SPO. And to be honest, I think that's wrong. We've really tried to welcome and tried to encourage the same kind of grassroots participation in SPOA that we think is necessary for this community to get together and work with the golf course. We've all gotten used to the idea that we don't get along, that we don't show up, we don't vote. In fact, there's a lot of fake news out there telling about how we are trying to do something to take over the golf course. What we've tried to do is raise awareness of this course. I remember the first time I talked to Kelly about this before he became a member of the board, was in November? Maybe October? I mean, this has been an overarching idea of how do we see a way forward? And so I am absolutely delighted to see this many people who care. Pat yourself on the back. I think to Pete and to Kelly, Tracy, and we've accomplished the first mission, which is try to get people to care. I'm sorry if you came in with the misconception that somehow we are trying to change things for you. Because that's, to be honest, I don't know what to call that. I think the way I described it in my notes here is should I say it or not? Butthurt neighbor, okay? I don't want a butthurt neighbor. I want people who want to try to work a way through this. So with that being said, the first thing that Mark has just said is we're facing a catastrophe with the golf course. He's put a very nice pitch on it. He's done a lot of work to try to sell it. But the reality is that this course goes on, if it fails to meet its obligations within a month, the grass won't be cut, the sprinklers won't work, and this course will go to nature. Am I wrong, Mark?
That's a fairly accurate assessment.
Okay. Who here does not think that that's a disaster for the community? Okay, so I think we need to figure a way forward. And we need to figure out how can we do that within the context of SPOA and the golf course, SPOA and PSP working together. So I appreciate the effort. In fact, when we started this a couple months ago, I asked Pete to take it over because I wanted to have a little bit of a separation between me as driving this thing and somebody who's boots on the ground, work with Mark to try to figure it out. So I thank you for doing this, and you know, I think we need to figure a way forward. I only see three ways. The golf course fails, the golf course gets taken over by a white knight, or we, as a community, come up with a new special assessment to carry them through. And ultimately, that third option took, hey Bill, when you guys did this a few years ago, how long did it take to come up with the PSP agreement?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. So I suspect that we don't have 2.5 years to come up with a new way to give them a temporary way around this. Am I fair, Mark?
Yes.
All right. So although that's option 3, it's really either a white knight or some other sale, or it goes under. With that being said, I'm open. What, you ready? Where do you want to go with it?
Okay, well, one thing I wanted to do, and I know Tracy wants to jump in too, for all those folks outside the fence, we certainly appreciate you being here. We also appreciate the fact that you get the benefit of the golf course as well as the folks inside the fence. And So we will look forward in the future to chatting with you how the outside of the fence folks can help build this golf course and maintain it and help make it sustain it moving forward. Tracy?
Yeah, just kind of expound on that a tad bit, Pete, but everybody really realizes the benefit of what the golf course is. And the only thing separating the developing or the SPOA members to the members that are outside of the gate is that gatehouse. And trust me, there's not a whole lot to that gatehouse other than a bunch of problems with costs. But still, if you're looking out your back window and you see a beautiful manicured golf course, you know, that should mean something to you. That should mean a property value to you, and we want you to be part of our equation, however that looks like. So yeah, we're looking for the members or the owners that are outside the gate per se, to also join in supporting the SPOA or be part of the SPOA, however that looks. And again, a lot of this is early discussions on, but at the end of the day, I absolutely applaud Mark on what he's done, and all the community, the folks that have put up a lot of money over the years to save this place, and for us to be sitting in a situation where now it looks like we have a path forward. That's very, very promising. But everybody that benefits should have a stake in the play.
Pete, got a comment?
Sure.
We have 79 golf members. And 79 golf members is not going to financially support the club as it should. You look at the other courses around here, typically 400 at Rocky Bayou, Santa Rosa Beach. You know, when you have that number of memberships, the course can support itself. And so over the years, we've asked the community, become a part of, Shalimar Point golf. I mean, you don't have to swing a club, but there's other things that you can do. In May or June, we track the numbers of rounds, irrespective of the membership. And when you're down 2,000 rounds in 6 months, you are in a death spiral. We did not have a good digital footprint. Now with T-Snap, I understand that can be corrected. Moving forward, we can look at equipment leases or purchases. We can look at chemicals, because you live and die by your chemicals in Northwest Florida. We don't have that lush, fertile soil that you see in parts of Alabama and Mississippi. We are on a sand dome. So it takes a lot of money, to make this work. And so far, tonight, I sense that we've dodged a bullet, but it's gonna take people in this community and those in Lake Lorraine outside the gate to help support the course so we can have this and, good things will come.
So you're suggesting more people join the course as a member?
Whether it's a social member, golf
Yes.
member, what have you.
What are the differences between, do you have social members?
Yes.
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 Okay, and you have, okay, so that's option one, is membership.
And I would encourage people to come out and try golf, okay? You may not like it, but give it a try. You may like it. And if you do, you may come back again and again and again. Come on out and have some fun.
Yes, ma'am.
If I can add to what Mike has said, we really, in terms of our total membership, we have 147 members. So there
Is
are a
that
lot of
social?
social memberships. And they really are so important, because for $75 a month as a social member, regardless of where you live, once a quarter you get a free round of golf for yourself or somebody, if a relative's coming in that would like to play. You can come out and get practice balls, use the putting green. You get 10% off in the gift shop, in the pro shop. So there, and you can say to your friends when you go to your class reunions, well, I belong to a golf course. You guys say, I'm a social member. I belong to a golf course. I'm a member of a golf course. And this is a very special place. place that we live. This is our little paradise. When you cross to come into, you know, the area here, you go by different places and you go, wow, I'm back here in my little paradise here, this little, I was trying to drive on 98 stupidly. I had an appointment with a doctor, and I thought, I don't want to go on Highway 98 during the summer. Just leave me back here in a shallower point in life is good. So we encourage you to, you know, you don't have to be a golfer, but become a social member, and then you also get that 1 round a quarter, and you can get on a little golf cart and see what the course is all about.
Thank you. One other point of information I wanted to bring up too, for the outside the fence guys, and I hope you aren't offended by that. But there are more homes on the golf course outside the fence than there are inside the fence. There's 300 homes on the outside of the fence. If we had those as social members or anything, all that helps to maintain this and keep this course looking as good as it possibly can.
One more misconception on there. There are multiple Lake Lorraine homeowners that are also PSP members that have supported the golf course.
Oh, good.
Some may be here tonight, but
Yeah, there's one.
so to say that none of them.
Oh, she's asking a
Oh, I have
question.
a question.
I thought
I'm
you were
sorry.
the one.
I'm an outside the fence person with a question. My apologies.
Are you done, Mark?
Yes.
Okay. Question?
So, my question is, and thank you for mentioning the membership things, there's nothing on the website about membership options. So like I just sat here and looked and I was like, well, that sounds kind of interesting, but no one knows. So how do you promote that? It says you can call, but, you
Yeah.
know, most people scroll late at night or, you know, early in the morning.
We need
whatever,
to do
so
more
great.
on, we need to do more on marketing, we need to do more on advertising.
Because we can get a lot of people out
Yeah.
there, obviously.
Yeah.
Can I have?
So again, and I appreciate the comment, that comment kind of goes back, to the idea of growing membership and growing the business plan.
Yes.
And I think that, you know, I appreciate that. I will point out that the fact that you just checked that there's no clarity on the website with regards to membership, that's duly noted and appreciated. I guess the second thing is with regards to social membership versus golfing members, there's a difference in the cost. What do you get for it? Is there really a benefit to being a social membership, or is it really just a sponsor of the golf course that is participating and supporting the golf course? And that's still an acceptable option, but I think the idea of a social member carries with it clubhouse privileges, etc. What's the difference, Mark?
Well, first of all, social members get a special rate to play golf. If they want to, they just pay a guest fee,
Okay.
as opposed to the normal rack rate. I think they also get a 10% discount on their apparel and drinks and whatnot. I have to go through there, and I think they also have use to rent the clubhouse as well.
So that would be
And they get
stuff.
one round
They
of
get
golf
one
per
round of golf.
month.
I'm not questioning you, I'm saying this is not on the website, this is important for marketing. I think it's a great.
Social memberships are on the website.
Okay.
The website was changed last weekend, it does now include all of those rates and so many other things that were not in the previous
Okay.
website.
So, business development.
Okay, JohnMarkPoint.com, that website will go through all the everything.
Okay. Question back here? He's looking the wrong way. You still have a question, sir? You still have, oh, you're good. Okay, all right. Okay, we're good.
I just have one comment. If I heard Mark correctly, he said somebody from our community stepped up and essentially saved us all, saved all of our property values. I don't know who that is, but if you're in the room tonight, God bless you. And I look forward, as a board member, doing whatever I can to support whatever you possibly could want. If you need a fence in your backyard, right, we need to update the covenances. We need voting to happen at the next meeting. But whoever that individual is, put your wish list, you're on my Christmas card list. Thank you, whoever that is. Thank you.
One more question, Tracy. We've also placed our support to this prospective new owners, that if they have questions, they can come back and reach back. We all live right here in the community.
I want to make one more comment. The last 2 years in a row, Shalimar Point has hosted the American Junior Golf Association, golf night. That is huge, but we didn't get any coverage, to my knowledge, in the local press or media about it. Here again, Sam, like you said, we need to have a better, business
Media.
projection in the media. And everybody in this community, the interns, they don't have the money to go up, stay out on the island, on the beach. So a lot of the people in this room hosted these interns, you know, housed them, fed them, entertained them, and the feedback was just enormous. And these professional golfers, Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas, they are big proponents of the American Junior Golf Association. That's where they got their start. And and maybe we could contact the Tourist Development Council and say, it takes 50 grand to host it, but maybe, you know, Tracy, you
Yeah,
got.
I'll run front on that all day.
Yeah, but I would like to see them come back next year for a third year in a row.
What time of the year does that happen?
April.
April. Okay. Good. It's not too early to get started. Cool. Okay. Any other comments? Yes.
Yeah, if I heard the gentleman right, so we have enough assets to last about 3 weeks.
We have some other things in place here that will allow us to go a little bit farther. We've got some excess equipment here we can sell, and it's down there in the maintenance building. It's gonna generate some cash. Why do you ask?
Well, because I think we're kind of a day late, dollar short here.
Working on some
You're
strategies
talking
to
about running out of
prolong.
funds really quick.
We're working on some strategies to prolong that date. I'll leave it at that.
And then my next comment is as an outside gate owner, you know, we're talking about our investments that we made back years ago
There's a lot of us that made a lot more.
at a loss, you know? But yet you're coming around now and you want us to ante up again. And my question is, you know, we've already identified that the management and the publications and the media, in order to attract people, is not there. So what are we doing about that issue?
That's the new owner's problem. That's the new owner's
I'd like
problem.
to say this, it takes money to make money, okay?
I understand that, but you're looking at us outside of the gate as losing 2.1 million.
2.1, and a lot of people are in that boat, I will tell you that. We have people that have put up well over 6 figures, they could lose all that.
Well, and I understand, but you know what, if that's where you're looking for money from the outside, there's no one talking to the people out there. Where is the communication with the area that you want to come into this?
And that's exactly, the last meeting we had somebody in here, we had one guy, I think, from the outside, there he is, he's back. And so, we're like, let your neighbors know, let's get involved, let's get everybody in here so we can get educated on where we're going moving forward. So we got a path to correct it, and so what we're doing is gonna look everywhere to how we can help make this better.
Well, yeah, I'm just a little alarmed at the 3 weeks, you know, that I heard that, you know, what are we gonna do? And, you know, you're talking about needing significant money in order to do what you're talking about.
So to summarize what you're saying, okay? If somebody were to buy the course, they are putting forward their own investment in the course. And they're paying off the debt, but the equity owners don't get reimbursed, right? But it's all one person, and it's up to that person to do the marketing, the business development, and to make the course work. Alternatively, to keep the course running under the current system would require a increase in the volume of play. I think we said 2,000 rounds a month.
No, 2,000 over 6 months.
Okay,
We're down 2,000 rounds over past 6 months.
2,000 down, so there's a significant need to grow the bill, the play, the course. Or alternatively, as has been suggested, is that people are already paying $25 a month or $75 a quarter to support, because the PSP agreement, are going to be asked, because that's the 200 people, 200 families within the, to give an additional sum of money, whether it's double it or, nobody's run these numbers. We as a board started this PlanB committee about 3 months ago because we were concerned about the potential of this. This hit real rock bottom a month ago. About 3 weeks ago, right, Mark?
Thereabouts.
Okay, so I appreciate the sensitivity of what you're saying, and we completely agree with you. We're not here about blaming people. We're trying to figure out, is there a way of increasing the play, increasing the business development under the current situation, or is there another option for somebody else to take it over? And like I said, the last option, if we do nothing, is you're gonna be staring at a patch of grass.
Well, I'm just a little dismayed at the fact that $2.1 million plus, probably, and no change in the direction, or nothing to avoid the situation that we're currently in.
So the history, and I don't know, were you at the meeting that Mark gave about 2 years ago? Mark gave us a meeting that we had a renewal of the PSP agreement, and a lot of people here were here that night. And these questions, I raised these questions, other people raised, of how do we make the golf course a sustainable entity, an independently sustainable, and like the tennis club. And the only answer that we got was we've been out of business, the COVID thing, the lockdown with the county, we've got this legal case with the county. There was a lot of hope of growing the business. That just hasn't occurred over the past 18 months. And unfortunately, we all agree with you, there hasn't been substantial change to the infrastructure of the course. And I think at this point, I really commend Mark and the people who've tried everything they can to keep this thing alive under the circuit. We're at a place we have to change direction, and that's what some of us were wondering 2 years ago. But we are there, because if we do nothing, this is going to go belly up. So without laying blame, we need a way forward.
And there's a lot of things that can be done, and I'm sure, because even the gentleman in the back last time brought up that, hey, we could have companies sponsor holes. We could do advertising. I was thinking, what about advertising on the golf course? You know, there's a lot of things that can be done to generate revenue, but there again, we have a situation where they're selling, we got a new owner buying, and the new owner is gonna have to make some changes, and whomever is gonna need all the help they can from the community to help make it successful and move forward. So it's a community issue, it's not an individual issue.
Right. Well, I mean, I pretty much see the handwriting on the wall. I think sell is the only option, but really, to be truthful, but, you know, the 2.1 is a hard pill to swallow. And-
Agreed.
And the fact that I don't see any, you know, again, I mentioned, I think it's a day late and dollar short.
Well, I think you gotta understand too, there was some,
Should have been more aware.
there's some challenges too that the course ownership was going through. And not to speak on their behalf, but there was a substantial lawsuit between the course and the county. And unfortunately, it did not favor in part to the golf course. So I think that took a hit to the situation.
And to the course's defense, they still believe they have a winnable case and it's gone to appeal. Unfortunately, they're gonna run out of money before that's an option. So again, this is not about laying blame. This is,
Well, I'm not trying to.
no,
do
what
that.
I'm saying is, I'm not trying to cast, I am just trying, look, can we stay moving, you know, I agree with you, 2.1 is a huge amount, but is there a way forward? Yes, sir.
I was just curious, if you had this, has this been shopped to actual golf course, maybe private equity ownership that own multiple golf courses, they can come in and take a per capita reading, our average income area, how many golf courses in the area, the average rainfall in this area, and they do their due diligence, because those guys own golf, those guys, girls, those companies own golf courses across America. They have abilities to analyze that data and decide if it can make money or not. And I was just curious, if someone, a professional golf course ownership, have you guys ever shopped into someone like that, that's all they do is make golf courses make money?
The answer is
So I was just curious, if so,
The answer is
how does that
yes.
go?
Yes. Again, the value of a golf course, as a golf course, we know what the range is, okay? And what we've negotiated for a purchase price is in that range, okay? So we know where it is. We've also talked with golf course brokers who do nothing but sell golf courses.
Okay.
And we haven't signed in a listing agreement because they probably want about $200,000 commission
10%,
to do that. Correct. So we know what the value of the course is.
Okay.
If we sign a listing agreement with the broker, I'm pretty sure we'll get a bunch of buyers.
Okay.
With what we're doing now, we're not gonna have to pay the commission. Okay, we're saving
Gotcha, okay.
$200,000.
Understood.
But one of our biggest problems is we compete with a government subsidized facility 4.5 miles down the road.
That's right.
Okay, that's difficult to do when they don't pay any property taxes. They have their green, we had to go borrow $1.7 million to put a new irrigation system in. We gotta pay that money back.
Right.
Okay, the city doesn't have to do that. They got that money as a gift.
That's right.
Okay, so there's a lot of negative competitive.
Well, that's what I was asking, as a professional analyzer, looked at it and said, hey, done the due diligence behind the scenes, and maybe your broker, that's what they kind of get paid for or not, but if you guys have the ability to do that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I was curious if like somebody that already owns 10 golf courses, that knows exactly how to analyze that data way better than at least me, maybe y'all.
Now, somebody that owns 10, or matter of fact, we spoke with somebody that owns 50 golf courses.
And do they believe that this golf course, even with the?
Yes, yes. The
Out of one of
answer
those
is yes.
50
Now, for
courses, they're
example,
competing with
They can buy their chemicals much cheaper than we can buy
Yes,
as
sir.
a one-off.
That's right, that's right.
And so they're gonna get a lot of attention. They're probably buying their chemicals for probably 30% cheaper than what we get.
So they do believe they can take this course,
Yeah.
and it could be a money-making golf course
Yeah.
in this community, even with the competition of the
If
football.
you are well capitalized, we have been undercapitalized since we bought this property back in 2012. We lease all the equipment because we've never had the capital to go buy the equipment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we've gotta pay, we're financing it too, so there's a lot of finance charges, interest charges that we pay the insurance as well, not to mention the money we borrow from the capital. Right now, we're paying $6,000 a month just to the capital group that we did when we did the renovation.
Yes, sir.
So we've got a lot of fixed expenses here that other places don't
No,
have.
that's what I was asking, for the actual professional golf courses coming in with all the expenses, with all the
Yes.
competition, has looked at it and said, no problem, this course can make money based on this sale price. And if you have, that's awesome. Is that still on the table as well as is that one of the three options you're talking about? Is
We're
to an actual-
looking at
So they keep it a golf course?
We're looking, I think we've narrowed it down to where we're gonna sell to a prospective buyer. I think we
That's a
have.
golf course buyer?
As a golf course, correct.
Awesome. Okay, I just.
So, I think I mentioned that when we first started. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm thinking a few minutes late. Yes, sir, so that's-
So, we've already covered that ground.
Yes, Lee. I'm sorry.
I'm just curious about membership drive. When's the last time that y'all did a membership drive? And the reason I'm asking is, old Bernie told me today that Fort Walton courts now cost $80 for to play, the one that they renovated. I wonder how many people we have that live in this community that would rather drive over there to play golf than putter down the street, get here and play golf.
Very few. I think very few people go to Fort Wall Beach to play. Most of our people who live here are loyal to the sports that play here. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of people who live in Fort Wall Beach that come here. They're fed up with Fort Wall Beach.
So we haven't got them to become members, have we?
Yes.
I know they were playing while there were renovations going on, but how many became members here?
Probably 15 years.
I'm just trying to spitball some ideas about membership drive. Can SPOA help out whoever this buyer is, if y'all negotiate a deal with them? Because kind of clearly, 100 to 120, I'm gonna ballpark that,
I appreciate you mentioning that, but let's go down that pathway. So currently SPO is kicking in how much a quarter? 14,000, almost 15,000 a quarter, okay? And with that 15,000 a quarter, we're now talking about going up on that, at least in some temporary fashion. And in order to do that requires an action of the community. In other words, a special assessment or a replacement to the PSP agreement. And I just point that out, that's not a time, that is not an option for this time element as raised by Mark. And so, although that is something that I feel is a good one of the options, the first discussion we had about 3 months ago was there are communities like this in South Florida where every homeowner is a member of the golf course. They own the golf course. Well, that would require the community buying out the golf course, okay? I don't know if that's reasonable, but we don't even have time to have that discussion with the community. So that's a membership way, that's a business development way, that's a sustaining way of making the golf course something that we would continue to support. On the other hand, we are currently paying $25 a home a month, or 15,000-ish a quarter from SPOA to try and sustain it, and it's just not enough. So we'd have to come up with more, and outside the fence, people would likely be asked to try to contribute. And so the reality is, your point is well made, but that's not an option for the immediacy of this right now. Yeah.
I got a couple quick questions. So how negative is the golf course per month?
It ranges anywhere from 10 to 15,000 a month.
Okay. I also heard a rumor, is there something in the covenants that does not allow the land to be developed for a while? Yeah, until when?
Well, there's two documents. One says 2028, one says 2042.
Okay.
So pick one.
How many acres is
130.
130. So I'm gonna always play devil's advocate. So a developer comes in and spends, the White Knight buys the place at, let's say $2 million, who knows what it is. Negative $10,000 to $15,000 a month. It eliminates PSP's ownership in it. In 2 years, they get to sell it and make a bunch of money on the land. I'm just gonna say, I don't know if that's the intention, and then the question is, if a White Knight buys it, why would we continue to give money to the golf course as homeowners? I'm just bringing up everything that may or may not come up in the near future on those things, because
We've considered those scenarios that you
yeah,
just mentioned.
well, and that's why in full transparency for everyone, those are things that need to be brought out for everyone, correct? Because I'm just saying, if you can develop this land in 2028, someone who spends $100,000 a year keeping it open, but makes an investment of $2 million and then gets to sell the land, 130 acres, where no one else can build around here, that's a lot of money in profit.
We have a very good idea of what the value of this property is
Yep.
to a homeowner, okay?
Yes.
We already know what that
Yeah,
value is.
I'm just
Okay.
bringing it all
Go
down here.
Okay, we've looked at all these scenarios, our preferences, like we stated early on, is to keep the community like it is. We want this golf course to succeed. Now we gotta figure out how we do that.
Yeah, well, yes. But once again, if I was a buyer, prospective person, that's what I would do. I'd ride it out for a few years and then develop, and then, we eliminate PSP from the equation and $2.1 million in debt, and then, the homeowners are still giving me some money to help pay for this.
And then you'd have to move.
Yeah.
You'd have to move.
Yeah, well, if you're the buyer that did that, but if you just made $5 million, you wouldn't really care to move.
So, Bill, is it 2042?
2040.
We need to really look into that because I think the 1985 covenants expired 2020. But what's involved here is this crazy MARTA
Yep.
legislation that our state imposed on deeds. And, there's two ways that the covenant can be defeated. One is by automatic extinguishment under the MARTA statute. And two is if a prospective buyer petitions a judge for a ruling saying, look, this has had 4 owners and they've all been unable to be successful. It's unrealistic to maintain a restriction on the property. So we could, even if the covenant is in good standing, we could still lose on a judgment case.
So we did sign the MARTA though. You guys on the board signed the MARTA too.
That's for our covenant.
Okay.
But we're talking about the
Don't they-
1985 covenant
Yeah.
with Lorraine Guardian Corporation.
Right.
So you have to go back
And it
through
goes.
the title
Yeah, yeah.
and then add 30 years. And
Yeah.
by my math, it comes out to 2020, meaning they're already automatically voted.
They're not.
So I guess if there's a sale to a private owner and the agreement for us paying our quarterly dues to the golf course, that's an agreement between SPOA and PSP, not with a new buyer, correct?
That is probably technically correct, but the
Yes.
reality is, the new owner would take over.
Yep.
But PSP would still, almost assuredly, still be considered equity owners in the course. And what are you gonna do with the equity
Well,
of that course?
and the thing is, in 3 weeks, once
So-
again,
so you're-
and I don't want the golf course to go under. I'm not one way or the other. Something's gonna get fast tracked.
Uh-huh.
Something's gonna happen, and there's gonna be a lot of agreements and stuff that get put in place because of the urgency that none of us are gonna know anything about. Or we're gonna have half truths and half knowledge.
Right. So my point is that technically, there's debt and there's equity
Yep.
in the golf course. The debt is covered by that 2.4, 2.5 million sale. The 2.1 Mark was talking about, the PSP, that's equity. And as they said at the last meeting, nobody in that PSP group expected to get that money back. Now, I'm not sure if that's true, but that was the affirmation of them. That 2.1 of equity is either gonna have to be written off,
Yep.
or it's gonna have to be continued to the new buyer, and that's gonna have to be part of that legal
Yeah.
discussion in the sale, and
And
I don't
then-
know where that's gonna be.
And then does
That's-
SPOA?
By the way,
get
SPOA
equity?
doesn't have a say in this.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, does SPOA get equity?
So
For our money?
SPOA, that's a good point.
Well, I know we don't, but we're giving money every month.
So according,
Shouldn't we get equity?
That was brought up when that person came about. Hang on.
so according to the PSP SPOA agreement,
Yeah, I know what it says, but once
my
again,
point.
this has always been a hot
Some
topic.
people may not.
Yeah.
If the golf course fails to be able to maintain itself as a golf course, that the dues that have been, put off, have been, the dues that have continued to accrue and are currently about 167,000. There was a suggestion by some in the community that perhaps that should be transferred over to the new property in terms of either equity or as a, so there's
Yeah.
ways around that, Matt, and I think it's a great point.
Yes.
None of that has happened yet. None of that discussion has really happened. And the PSP is, I mean, it's SPOA, and I mean, as a group, the board of directors is not having that discussion. The board of directors is strictly representing,
Yes.
okay?
So, yeah, because that's the whole point is if a person buys it and PSP still has equity, SPOA has equity, if they do end up selling to a developer in whatever many years.
Does not have that.
I know we don't. I'm saying we should.
If I
We
buy
talked
10
about that
Yeah,
when
yeah.
they went into an agreement years ago.
Correct, yes.
And they
Yes.
voted that down.
Correct, yes, but I'm saying, all bets are off the table now as things go
Well,
forward.
you can't rewrite history.
You can't rewrite that, but no,
And
but
we
I'm
can't
saying-
rewrite that agreement.
Correct.
So we can't do it now, but if anything future, it's up for discussion. Brett?
Thank
PSP. Brett Latham, actually owned one of our 2 gates. But one of the things I've learned is there's never a free lunch, and I don't expect whatever this deal is to be a free lunch either. If things go south, if this works, great. If this guy comes in, does the golf course and everything, that'd be awesome. That would truly be a free lunch for us. I haven't seen any of this. If something doesn't happen, well, we're still gonna have to go around here solid. We may not have to go to the right golf course, but we're gonna mow, and it's gonna cost a lot of money. And we're gonna be on the hook to pay that. We're gonna have to pay it whether we want to or not. If somebody starts development, there's gonna be significant construction. We're gonna deal with significant construction. I got a feeling that that wouldn't be a lot of fun either. If nothing happens and the golf course isn't maintained at all, we're gonna have to do something with that. Or we're gonna have rats and snakes and all kinds of varmints all over the place. And that won't be pleasant, and that's a real cost too. If ultimately things get developed and the development's okay, we're still gonna have to deal with traffic and everything else. If the golf course goes under, there's gonna be property value implications. Don't know what they'll be, because it depends on what happens, but there will be changes in property value because of it. In other words, it's like, we're gonna pay something whether we want to pay something or not. And I think as a SPOA needs to understand, it's like if you think you're gonna turn down paying money, you're not. If you think you're gonna get out of this free, you're not. I don't expect to get out of it free. I would love to have a golf course. If we can't have a golf course, I'd love to have a park. If we can't have a park and it all gets developed, I'd love to have an 18-hole walking path through that development. In other words, I want to see it at the table. And it's like, one of the things I think we need to look at, if we have to pay more money for the next year while we figure out what's going on, let's pay more money. I want to see it at the table. I want some influence on what happens. Because I'm concerned if they say it's into 2 years, or whatever years, and all of a sudden this all gets developed, and they just give us the finger, and say we do whatever we want, and we're gonna pack everything they can in here, and you won't be able to go down 4th Avenue without, without having to leave 15 minutes earlier. It already takes forever to just transverse that little road. I don't want it to be any worse. But I would like to see SPOA get involved in this. If we're gonna be writing checks, I don't mind writing checks. It's like, I wanna see it at the table, and I wanna have some influence over what happens. And whether it be just negotiations, it's like, at the end of the day, if somebody takes this over and says they're gonna develop it, you can sue. And if you don't believe that you can sue and keep golf course from being developed, look at Blue Water Bay, because that's exactly what's happened. Blue Water Bay's gone to seed, a lot of it. And it's like nothing's happened. And I guarantee you a developer would like to be developing that stuff at Blue Water Bay. They're not. They have to develop a little bit, just like they can develop this little area in here. It's like, I want us to have a seat at the table, and I think we need to figure out, as we're doing all of this, if we're gonna keep paying and write checks, we get a seat at the table. It's not the golf course deciding what gets done with whoever. It's us and the golf course, because they need us just as much as we do.
Hey, Mark, I have a question for you.
Sure.
In your negotiations, have you discussed at all the clause preventing this being developed?
Yes, we have discussed that, yes.
And is it likely that that's going to happen?
I don't want to say one way or the other just yet, but we should say we're in negotiations. It's an important point for us. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
In Blue Water Bay, they went through their legal stuff, rats and snakes and grown-up stuff and everything like that. Jerry Zevin and Randy Wise bought the Blue Water Bay golf properties that are no longer in play, no longer parts of the golf course. They are only building houses as they sell them. They're not building spec homes. And they turned the driving range, they already have houses on the driving range. You lose the driving range, you lose the golf course. And so from what I understand, and I can't name sources, but I do understand that they only build houses on the golf course as they get the demand to build. They will not, most large tract builders now are only building pre-solds, not spec homes. Once the interest rates get down below 5.5%, then you'll see these large home builders build spec homes. But that's all.
I understand what you're saying. Looking at the map, I don't see a single road on that golf course, so I'm not sure.
Like I said, when they get pre-solds, they will cut in those roads. And those golf courses are clear. They don't have to take out many trees to put in a road. They're just waiting for the pre-solds. Once the interest rates drop, you'll see that happen.
Okay, anybody else have anything they want to add? No. Well, I appreciate everybody coming here tonight and getting involved, and I want you to continue to get involved, whether it's now, in the future, at the SPOA meetings, with the new course ownership, get involved so we all can work together to make sure that this is a success, which is what everybody wants. Okay?
And to follow on to that, Pete, next week is the next SPOA meeting. If the SPOA, as you're asking, Brett, and by the way, I appreciate you reiterating exactly the sentiment that this board is trying to say is we need to have a leadership responsibility in how, that's the idea of the Plan B, is that we need to have a leadership responsibility here, but we are not going to do that on our own. We have to have the backing of the community. So I beg all of you to come back here next Tuesday, because we will continue this discussion on how SPOA has the SPOA responsibility to try to meet this issue.
Super.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you.